Hey guys, it's Roxy here. In this video, we have a chat to Caroline, our dear friend and sister all the way from the United States. She does past life readings, spiritual mentor, and a whole lot more. She channels beautiful light keepers, and we have a chat all things about playing, being a child again, and how that can help you on your ascension journey, and how we even came to connecting and being together. There's lots of insights on this video, so you don't want to miss out. So it's going to be amazing. So give us a thumbs up, and we'll be sharing Carolyn's details down in the caption below.
Sounds good. So I'm just going to start by saying, hi, Roxanne. It's so good to see you again.
Hello, nice to see you. It's so nice to connect with you still, all the way overseas from us.
I know. So should we tell everybody how we met and why we're doing this?
Yeah,
how we ended up even meeting?
Yeah, well,
so you found me, right?
Yeah, I found you. So our brother Dan had an awakening, and he went over to Costa Rica and did plant medicine, and then got back, and we were like, okay, we need to go, but I needed some serious work, and he put me in contact with you, and you did the first past life reading for me. And I remember in it said that I needed to do some work immediately before I went to Costa Rica in order to kind of get through that journey, obviously. And from there, I was doing mentoring with you, which was so supportive of that beginning kind of entry of not knowing anything, right, into knowledge.
But you know what,
light workers.
Yeah, and what was so interesting with you, if you don't mind if I share, and if you want to cut this out, you can. But what I noticed with you is how quickly you started moving forward, and because you were supposed to, in your journey, like just quantum leaps. And what I realized also is how fast you started receiving information, like in your way that you receive it. It was just, you were getting what I was getting very quickly into our mentoring session. So it was so cool to see you advance that quickly. No wonder you started the business you did so fast.
Yeah, and just like your support through that process, like I was tapping into ETs and like going, am I going crazy? And you're going, no, there's lots of galactic beings around you actually. And it was quite a surprise really for you as well. But
well, and I think we and not to stay on this topic too long, but I think it's interesting is I think you and I also, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think you and I identified the ship above your house.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And is that
yeah. Yeah. Because of course, like when you do this, when you have the awakening and you come into this realm, you've come from 3D matrix working for corporate like you and me and most of us probably listening. And then you go, whoa, this is a bit woo woo. Am I going nuts? Because you think you are going nuts. So like having your hand and holding my hand and going, no, that's what you're getting. That was just so grounding for me, because you do feel isolated on this journey when you first have the awakening.
Right. And I think the other thing too is, as I think what happens to a lot of people is exactly that. It happened to me as well. As we start channeling in whatever that makes sense for each of us individually information, we do that of, oh, I'm just making this up. But the more that we just let it flow and let it go and just trust it and know, because then we can look back at our journey and say, wait a minute, I would not be going through all I did to get here and not have this be real. Look at all that was real beforehand, right? That I wouldn't have believed would happen. But the more we're able to then just set ourselves aside and just let it flow and just talk, the more you get offered too, right?
And that's the hard part, letting go and letting it all just come in, go as it wants to. We're kind of like get so excited and what's next, and what does that mean? And like constantly on this, finding this research, this pioneering, journey, which is awesome. So what's that, like 3 years ago since I connected with you? But you've been in this realm doing the past life readings for a bit longer. Do you want to share with some of our viewers what your story is?
Sure, absolutely. And then you can share your business with my crew too, because I'm going to post this on YouTube. So just briefly, I went through my what really was dark night of the soul. I was fully unaware of anything called spiritual awakening or anything, even of the metaphysical. I wasn't even involved. In 2016, I went through that dark night, which woke me up overnight. Within a month, I was moving fast, and my whole life had gotten ripped out from under me, basically, and I had a blank slate. So long story short, I started to have all my intuitive gifts open up, and there's, it's a whole story in and of itself. But over that next year, up until like August of 2017 is when I opened up Purple Rain Healing, because I was already starting to channel poetry from a group of angelics that kind of helped me launch off in just channeling in general. And that's what I use for a lot of the work that I do on my YouTube channel. They'll bring information through for energy updates and poetic messages, but started channeling. And then I also started doing energy healing, which was a modality ended up landing in my lap, just like the channeling did in early 2017. And then I just followed, that's the thing. When you just follow the thread of the thing in front of you and you don't question it, so much more opens up. And so all this magical stuff was happening, and I was opening up to so much that I just knew I was supposed to start a business. And lo and behold, after a gazillion years in corporate America, never expecting this to happen, here I am now today with a business that keeps me very busy every single week. And I've reached that phase where after about early 2019, I just have steady clientele coming to me, because my primary work is supporting people through their spiritual awakening and ascension journey through my channeling, as well as, because I basically do soul journey sessions and help them with past, present, future, and also with energy healing. So I have a number of services that offer that, but it's just so much fun. And I've met people from all over the world, just like you have. And so that's a real synopsis of it, but it took off super fast, because just like you guys, this is our journey. This is what we're supposed to be doing, offering to the collective for the awakened journey, being support for them. Other people, have other things they're going to be doing. They might be, like I've said before, all our old constructs and institutions and belief systems, they're really breaking down, but we have light workers in those helping rebuild, right? So our journey here was to create our businesses like really fast, right? Really fast.
Really fast.
Anyway, yeah. And so that's basically what I've been doing since, my awakening, since 2016. And I'm on YouTube, and basically YouTube's where I am under Carolyn Zaiser. But Purple Rain Healing's my business. So that's a real summary. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, so after I connected in with you, we went to Costa Rica and did all of the healing work. I guess it never ends, really, doesn't it? There's layers and layers and layers of it. And the Palladians started tapping into us on the way home on the plane. And that's how fast track ours was. My phone just completely turned off mid using it, and then it wouldn't turn back on. And so I was getting the sign to just meditate, and when I meditated, that's when they came into me. So there was so many clear signs that was my purpose, my mission, to bridge that gap between our planet and the universe. And of course, Pete's going, are you sure, thinking it's too woo woo and out there. And
right.
It was really out there, because in the old you get ridiculed for talking about the ETs, and they're a threat, in the propaganda world. But so little by little, I started discovering a higher frequency, going up in higher realms. And of course, we had the mentoring, and I went to the ship, and I was cross-checking with you that was what I was getting, because I'm new to this, of course. And then slowly but surely, they were telling me, get this on YouTube, start telling the story. And of course, Pete's going, no way, this is going on YouTube.
Right, exactly.
And so, he got over it. We did a bit more healing work and a bit more inner work, of course, and got over it and realized, okay, this was real. We're going to help people connect with ETs, all races, Palladian, Octarians, Syrians, Andromedans, all races, not little green men. They're like humanoid, like us.
Right.
And
exactly.
We started taking people to the ship to use quantum field technologies. And we started doing energy healing, which was profound. And, our gifts started turning on, like yours. We started to become out of service to self to service to others. And, there was love and magic within that space. something that you know you don't experience when you're in service to self, because you don't even know that it exists. So when you
Exactly.
like another soul, and you've learned from all of the things that you've had happened in your life, you realize, this is for a purpose, this is for a reason, because you can then help serve the other person, because you can feel what they are going through, because you've been through it yourself, but you're looking
Yes.
at it from a higher aerial perspective, right?
Exactly. And that's very similar to like what I do with basically the client comes in with the human journey, right? And then there's the spiritual story part of that pairs up with the human experience that's happening. But there's, like you said, a higher perspective of that. Absolutely. So
Yeah,
what year was it that you went to Costa Rica?
that was 2019.
Okay, see how fast that happened? I mean, and you have your business. I mean, it's amazing how quickly that occurred. So
yeah, so we just followed the threads like you. It said, the energy said, start the YouTube channel, do videos every second day. And we didn't have many subscribers back then, of course. So we just punched out videos because we were going through this healing journey. So we had time. We weren't really doing any work at this time. We'd sold our 3D businesses and we were full in, everything all in on awakening education. And yeah.
No, what I was going to say is I think it's so interesting how that happens, how those of us that are meant to have these businesses start fast and support others on their journey, you are just pulled along and you just are doing the thing. And really what also happens is you kind of get this blank canvas. Like you said, you sold your businesses and guess what? So now you're in this momentum to create something new, which same thing with me is I passed away all in the same year and all of this happened. So you get kind of this blank slate thing where you're just, their trajectory then is to create that business. All that energy is there for it.
Yeah. And anyone listening, I would just suggest to, trust. Don't let the monkey mind, the matrix mind go, that won't work because I'm not good enough or this or that. It's just like, okay, if you want me to do this, show me, teach me, guide me, and trust. And a lot of us don't have that surrender and trust.
And I think too, one of the biggest things that we have as a construct that keeps people from moving into maybe a kind of a spiritual business, or even that, and it doesn't have to be a spiritual business. The thing they have always maybe really wanted to do is the financial factor. And money is one of the biggest constructs we have to actually overcome in this spiritual journey and to be able to find a new relationship with it. Because we all get confronted with the financials at some point in the spiritual journey, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's that,
but trust is key.
Yeah, that jumping over from the mountain, like your mountain analogies, like coming from this mountain to that mountain. How do I get there when you don't have that financial support? But you just need to trust, like it will work out. It's just little bit by little bit edging forward. I mean, some people's journey is a little bit slower and that's okay because that's what they're being wanted and that's what the contracts was. But for us, we just, full out there, straight to the stars.
And to that end, what I think is important to know for everybody is, we sit here and say, okay, I started my business in 2017. You started like 2019 or so. Well, and that's what we're doing day to day. We were put on the fast track. Okay. That doesn't mean everybody will have to be the same way. Just follow your journey the way it's presented to you, but trust it and follow it, because I know for a fact the two of us, we were definitely meant to have this happen now. Right. Yeah. So, but other people's maybe extend it out a bit more, but follow that thread. And that's what's key, and trust and lean into what's in front of you.
And just like hold the knowing that consciousness is the new currency, like elevating your frequency is the new currency. 3D matrix money, paper money, that's all old false beliefs, right? It is. Our frequency eventually in a higher state will be an energetic exchange rather than paying. It could be, the fruit man brings us a box of fruit for a session but we're not there yet. And that's okay. but we just need to realize that's where we're heading. Like consciousness is the new currency. And
I love that.
hold that. It's like, oh yes, because that's universal code.
Oh yeah. No, I love that saying, consciousness. I saw that on one of your I think it was one of your Instagram posts, consciousness is the new currency. And it is so true, because and what they always, the consciousness is the new currency. And what they always show me is how, as we raise in frequency and vibration, okay, that the manifestation energy actually accelerates, so that manifestation in 3D kind of takes a while, right? There's time involved, but I'm also getting the idea that when we come into more of a higher consciousness, the creation aspect, the manifestation aspect actually moves at a faster rate. And there's something to do with the fact that what you just said with respect to consciousness is the new currency, okay? And it's like an electrical currency too, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to the ship, we're taking people's light bodies and we're helping them heal on that higher level. And we can also tap into their DNA and see where they've been around the universe. That's where my gifts have led me now, to read those, Akashic records and see what planets they've been on. And, that really excites me because it's different. And it can really join the dots when we're looking at our past life trauma. We've got the root chakra, the past lives from this planet, but we also have a couple of integrations from intergalactic lifetimes, right? So important to find the soul's whole journey in this universe and join the dots for those that are obviously ready, because that's a part of the activation of the DNA strands for ascension. And that's part of the elevation of your frequency, your manifestation, all of it is it all matters, if that makes sense.
It does all matter. And it's extremely complex. And, when you really think about healing in general, and you just think about just this incarnation, right? And I realize a lot of what we experience in this current life has also been brought in from past lives too. But we have the whole past life healing piece. But then to your point, what we don't think a lot about is we have the galactic part of that. Because like we've talked, we haven't been just human. We have been galactic beings of all kinds. And to be able to then identify those experiences like you're doing in your sessions, so that people understand more of their full soul journey, their different lives off planet as well as on planet, make a big difference, because we're all going through different kinds of healing and, like you said, integration and DNA activation because of all of this.
And it's remembering who you are, like remembering that beautiful soul, that elegance of the soul and how far she or he's come. Like we're pretty amazing, all of us. Like if you really, like all the past lives that you join the dots for me with, along my journey. And it's just like so comforting to know some of those parts of myself. And, some of them you need to know in order to get through some of your, false limiting beliefs in this lifetime. Feeling rejected by males was a huge one from me. And when we discovered the broken leg, the amputated leg in a past lifetime, and feeling like a woman that would never get a man, I needed to know that little, piece to the puzzle to put it all together. So it's, and it's fun learning about yourself. Like it's addictive, don't you reckon?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And what they've always told me is your soul has all the, all that knowledge. Your body, your physical body holds the DNA that has the library of you. That was called DNA, the library of you. But when the human mind can start wrapping around itself all of this journey and understanding past lives, it's like something clicks with mind, body, soul. Okay. As we start to understand it as a human, so much can happen, which is why I've said for so long, everybody should know their past lives, galactic and otherwise. We should know, like, because in the current incarnation we're in, there are certain lives we've had, gazillions of past lives for the most part, but there's certain lives now that are very important to this particular incarnation, which is why they come through for certain individuals. So that, you know, like the ones that came through for you were really important.
Mm. Yeah, and people get blocked, you know, you wonder why you can't find that relationship because you probably have trust issues like from that past lifetime that's lingering through. Not that you're getting, you know,
Yes,
rejected or any heavy events happening, but it's like the universe energy trying to help you get over that lesson and love that lesson, love, you know, and trust again, like especially with relationships. It's a huge one, really.
exactly.
That I find, yeah.
Well, because, you know, as you experience, there's that pattern that we bring in from past lives, and then we play that same story over again because
Mm.
we have never had that chance to heal it and understand it. So that energy stays with us. Those experiences stay with us in our DNA. And then the computer program just kind of turns back on when we incarnate. But now that we've become aware, we start to become aware of those lives, we can start changing the pattern. We can
Mm.
start understanding where it came from and then change the future for ourselves.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
past lives are incredibly important for people to understand and how they're influencing them today.
Yeah, well, it's the integration process, yeah. And like when you touched on then the body, mind, spirit, it's like we do the analogy of the four-part being. And
Hmm.
you know, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And the analogy we use is the aeroplane with four jet engines. And if the engines aren't running, you know, how are you going to get that plane off the ground? A lot of people are failing, is that the way to pronounce it? In the emotions. No one taps into the heart portal at all. You know, society today, no one's looking at the emotions. It's like, you know, toughen up, you know, when someone
Right.
cries, or big boys don't cry, and it's always suppressed. And, you know,
Yes,
for ascension, we have to have those four part of our beings operating in order to ascend into even 5D.
exactly.
So,
I
you
mean,
know,
it's
yeah.
it's ultimately becoming self-aware and self-aware of your emotions and what they mean and how they drive you. And I mean, it's all about learning about the emotions and how they trigger you and then how you can manage them. But you got to be self-aware. It's all about learning to become self-aware into what
Yeah.
is actually driving you to behave the way we do.
And, you know, the
Yep.
other huge one is the physical vessel, the, you know,
Yes.
heavy metals in everyone. We live in such a contaminated
Yeah.
society, pollution, the food that we eat, you know, the fluoride in the water. We're just poisoning and keeping our bodies in such a low frequency. So if you
Right.
really want to shift, and that's the intention, look at all of your four parts, right? It's like you've got to
Yes.
almost rate yourself with those jet engines. And it's like, what would you
Yes.
give yourself out of 10? And if there's any improvement, what could that be? Just start today. Well, just little bit by little bit, right? And,
Yep.
you know, that
Exactly.
little bit will have a ripple effect. The more work we do on ourselves just has a potent ripple effect on anyone around us.
Right. Well, and it's, we work from the same premise of, self-care as that foundation of then being able to, well, what they always give is the platform where the rocket launches off from is our self-care, is how we treat ourselves, is the work we do for ourselves. That's the one thing we can really control, is what we do for our mind, body, and spirit. And then that rocket launches us then moving through the ascension journey, right? But
Yeah.
it's all about that platform can't be cracked, it can't be broken, it can't be crumbling. We can take care of that part, mind, body, soul. And then from there, all of everything else starts to shift and flow to us. And
Mm.
that's kind of our part in taking care of ourselves and shifting and changing our habits so that we're actually a vessel for the new energies.
Just that conduit. And then your
Yeah,
gift starts switching on. Like everything starts to switch on when the foundation's set. And
totally.
I love your rocket analogy. It's very similar to our plane one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it is.
Same
Yes, very
principle.
much so.
Because
Uh-huh.
that's important. It's very important. That's how we get to where we are, you know, and vice
Right.
versa. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's funny. I was sitting here thinking, so in the work that you do, you work very specifically with, do you work with the Pleiadians primarily, or can you tell a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the ship that we're accessing that we discovered is a Galactic Federation ship. So it's,
Okay.
they say to me, it's a size of a football field with over 1,000 beings on board. And it has an intergalactic station in the center. And one side of the ship is like accommodation and where people stay. And the other side of the ship is a lot of advanced technologies. And so there's lots of high councils that come in and have say over the ins and outs of this, you know, helping Earth and how they can help best with the beings that are willing and standing up like you and me, and how they can support us to then continue to help the ones behind us. And, you know, they're Octarians. Pete works with the Octarians a lot.
Okay.
I'm working with Palladians a fair bit. We've both got Palladian in our DNA. We've spent time in Octerus, but we haven't actually been an Octarian being, funnily enough. And they say the Octarian star system's magical. No one ever wants to leave if you do go there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really interesting. And a lot of people here on the Earth feel Palladian. And, you know, have that home calling when they even hear that word, that term, Pallades. They, you know, they have this warmth that comes into their heart, and it's like, I'm Palladian. They just know it, you know.
So that's interesting you say that, because I work with, and I have to tell you, I'm not that connected to galactic names. I can speak in galactic terms and quantum terms, but I don't really connect in with the specific ones, other than the Pleiadians and the angelic realm. So many of the people that work with me are of those groups. So it's interesting how you have certain groups that you work with too. So
yeah, we have loads of beings coming into session. It's always depending on who is coming. I never know.
Yeah.
As soon as we go up and I take and elevate their light body up, I know it's going to, like, there's lots of beings. Like, I arrive to the ship and there's lots of beings there. For some people, there's only a couple. There might be past loved ones. But it's more about the connection to soul family and star family.
Okay.
And, you know, sometimes we have masters and teachers come in, of course. That's just kind of what happens in everyone's, I feel, session. But yeah, the soul connection, the galactic, you know, because we've spent so long in this universe, all on different planets. They're interested in our development because they're our family. They're like,
yes, exactly.
Imagine me being up there and me trying to help you, Caroline, like, hey. And because we've got free will on the planet, they won't intervene. They're of a high frequency, 5D and beyond, and they're not going to intervene. Okay, they're not little green men like the false belief is out there. They're actually humanoid looking beings that, like you and I. Of course there'd be different looking ones because we're the universe and that's what it is. Creation is, you know. But yeah, we have all sorts come to sessions. Pretty cool. Yeah.
So and stop me if you don't want to go in this direction, but I'm just, there's a topic that's coming to me that I think is actually kind of interesting if you feel you want to pursue this here. What I was going to ask you is what's coming to me right now, and I've done actually a couple of videos on this, but touching on the idea of the shifting and changing human form, the human body. Do you ever have conversation, and I don't general with them, about the vision for, or a shift and adjustment to the human form, the human makeup, how we, you know, like how we will continue to evolve and advance? I didn't know if you've ever touched on any of that in your conversations with the galactic beings. And then also the second part of that is, and I actually have an experience with this, of the I don't want to say creation, but the evolvement of beings on other planets. And I'm just, not just Earth, but this whole idea of continuing to help create and adjust and assist and heal on other planets with other beings, and also on Earth, like the evolving human form. if that makes sense. Do you ever have conversations around that with them?
Yeah, so they tell us it's, obviously we're a human experiment. It's one of a kind here, and it's like we're the babies in the playground of this universe, right?
That's what I get.
Yeah.
I get the same thing.
Yeah. And so we are to, be nurtured and looked after. That's why there are so many alliances and federation ships and other intergalactic ships here. They're of a high frequency. They don't want to take over our world or anything. They're here to spot us. And when we elevate and we get to the level where we go, hang on, there's more out here, that's when they can lend their hand down. They are observing us because it is profound. Human having emotions in physical density, in 3D density, is profound, because a lot of the other star systems are already at 5D and beyond. So a physical formed planet is 5, 6, 7 density before they graduate into the higher realms of 8th, 9th, and 10th. So that, and that's a long time in that period of 5, 6, and 7 density, because it's millions of years of graduating through your spiritual evolution. So you can be physical and transcend your density on those planets. Like on our planet today, we can transcend our frequency into light bodies when the frequency is high enough, and when the human collective won't freak out. Of course, we've got to pace it so everyone can come up together in unity. That's what it's about, bringing the civilization together as one, no one beating another, no separation, all as one. So we are being after by, say, big brother or big sisters from our soul families from the universe, who we've all traveled with before. Yeah.
Well, and what I was wondering is, there's ascension requires the higher consciousness, but the body will be going with us, to your point of the light body, right? So we are now transitioning and shifting and changing. We all feel it when we go through the awakening. We know we have these physical moments of shift and change. We feel upgrades, we feel downloads, we feel, sometimes we don't feel great. We know when we're being more affected by the full moons and the new moons and the solstices. We become much more sensitive. And that's actually progress toward that light body. Do you get that sense that, because I'm very interested in the body part of it as well, of how that actually transitions. Are you getting the sense that they are assisting in that shift and change, if that makes sense, of the body? So for instance, we get codes turned on, right? Or we get parts of our DNA turned on, we activated, we have received downloads, we receive upgrades. Do you get any sense that they're involved in any of that?
Yes, they're helping influence individuals, but they're not doing the work for the person. We have to do the work. They're not going to change you so you're a light body. And I guess the easiest way to think about transcendence, if anyone's kind of a bit lost with what we're talking about, if you think about an ice cube, it's physical matter, and it will melt as you ascend up. And look, we're a fair way away from this. Yeah, we're a fair way away from this analogy yet, but that's your crystalline body turning into energy, into consciousness, which is what we were when we broke away from source and started out on our journey. So there's not a race to go home, but there is a helping hand if we want it. Hey, show me, teach me, guide me, Palladians, so I know how I can be the best version of myself. So I can then have a ripple effect on the human collective, and we can all transcend together. That's the point.
Yes. And I think that very much aligns with what I have been told and give counsel to that comes in client sessions. Is it's important for us to realize that we have this assistance out there, and to ask, to create those relationships, to create those bonds, to be able to reach out to them as well, because then it makes that, I mean, I've seen dramatic shift and change with people that I work with, as well as with my own journey of just the mere fact that, I've made that conscious connection with those who I can't see, but who I know are helping me, whether that's your angelics, or, you know, whoever it is that you're connected to. And we all have angels and guides that we can connect into. So, you know, it's a similar idea. You know, if you feel a connection into the Pleiadians, then start the communication, start that conversation, right?
Yeah, set the intention before bed even. Hey, I give you permission to help me get activated or upgraded, or show me some connections, some synchronicities, like through numbers. Like I booked the kids, they're going out for a play date today at an Adventureland, and I booked the ticket, and the checkout number was 111. I'm like, oh, there's my sign. So it's constantly feeding me through the day, even on a fuel ticket. The other day I got fuel 222, and I'm like, there you are. It's like that's communication coming in, but you have to be conscious to see behind the veil and realize that's the way of communication for now. Okay.
It is. And it's the way we are going to be guided. It's going to be the way we're going to be guided through our life and through our journey. That's actually, it's not the thinking mind of problem solving, troubleshooting. It's the signs and messages that are available to us that honestly, the indigenous people knew for ages, because, you know, they followed nature and listened to nature for their signs and their messages. But yes, exactly. That's what I've also been told too, is, and also we've seen that happen, in that the signs and messages guide you to your next place. It's like the yellow brick road.
Yeah, it's so funny if anyone wants to play around with this, because at the start I was so, like questioning everything. Is this real? You know, show me something real.
Oh, yeah.
So I sat in meditation and I said, okay, show me something profound then. And then I got, go outside and go to this part of your property and there'll be something there for you. And I'm like, what? So I go out and I look exactly where they told me, and it was a gum leaf with a third eye on it. And I was like, no way. I did a video of it back in the day. But Pete goes, what? Like just little things like that. If you ask, you will receive. But you have to believe, right? You have to have that belief.
Yes. And again, the other thing I have found with that is it's not in our human time of, okay, it's just going to magically appear. It might be in a few days. It might be, but it will show. I have found that as well. I love your example.
Yeah.
And you know, and I know you've had many examples like that, as have I, but it's making that initial connection and really having kind of the mindset of a child, of that trusting, believing, like wondrous view of things, because that this journey is, it's all about the wonder and the trust and the faith and the magic. It really is about the magic, and it's there. We just have to lean into it and trust in what we receive.
The play, the alpha state, the kid-like state. A child isn't worrying about the bills to pay, the fuel going up, the this, the that of society. What we get, the layers of belief systems and energy flows as we get older. We're not right. We've got to be under 10 years of age. That's the beauty of it. Like we get up to the ship sometimes and they're mucking around, they're telling jokes, and it's like so funny. Like some of your channelings, it's just like they're mucking around, and that's the vibration that you want to be in. You know, it's not meant to be hard. It's meant to be fun and exciting.
Exactly.
And silly,
exactly.
You know.
Which is interesting too, that aligns directly with like the very first conference I went to a month after my Dark Night of the Soul. All of a sudden I decide I'm going to James Van Praag's mediumship conference in Encinitas, California, which makes no sense. That makes no sense that I would go in this conference that I did not understand at all. It was at a spiritual church. I didn't know what that was. Mind you, I came from a background of knowing nothing. So I'm at this spiritual church with like 500 people that are at this conference. And one of the first things they do is they turn on like disco music or really jazzy dance music. And they said, okay, get up, everybody's going to dance. And I went, I don't understand. And even though I love to dance, I was like, this is weird. I thought it was so bizarre. I knew nothing about vibration. I knew nothing about, but what was happening was, to your point, this is that, you know, create that vibration in your own life each day. So I came home and I started doing disco dancing, little dances in my kitchen every morning, which I'm not kidding you, accelerated my day. It started my day out right. So what they were doing is they were raising the vibration in that room with everyone there. and getting our spirits high to the point, you know, like you said, of being that childlike, enjoy, have fun, raise your vibration. And it's actually a real thing. It's actually true.
Because when we're
So
in stinky thinking, right, we're trapped in our head. So
Yes.
we have a choice to what channel to plug into. Do you want the boring ABC channel? Maybe you like that channel, I don't know. Or do you want the news channel, or do you want the fun disco channel? And that's
So
the
true.
vibration. And what we often get caught up here and we forget about the heart. And that's the point of the excitement, the love, the bliss, the joy comes from this place. And
Yes.
a lot of our systems around the planet, they don't have that joy. Like, you don't go to school and there's great music on, you know, it's just very serious, and
Yes.
you know, we've got the blinkers on. So we have to let go and create this, you know, a kind of rebuild the system in a sense of higher vibration that's fun.
Right. And, you know, so I'm getting some information with respect to this part of this conversation. So what they're saying to me is, if you do one thing coming out of this video, listening to this video, is add more play into your day. So they're very concerned. Okay. So I'm just going to go with what I'm getting. Well, they're very concerned with they just said the serious nature of the things that are happening in the collective. Okay. We know all of what's going down and all these, you know, the very difficult things that we see. But they're saying what's happening with a lot of people is that joy and that happiness that is more innate for people is getting sucked away into more that getting pulled into the negativity. So what they're talking about is really wanting to be able to have people start adding more joy and play. They keep talking about play a lot right now. I'm getting that word. Like, and what was sparked by it was the conversation about being like a childlike play. They keep talking about, like, find that child that is still inside of you and the things you love to do when you're young, and go do some of those. Go do some, because they want that kind of energy. I think they're a little concerned right now. Sorry, I'm just going into a little bit of channeling here. What I'm getting is a little bit of the concern of that seriousness, that we can move from like eliminating joy and playfulness and fun, which can raise our vibration super quick. So they're wanting to add that back, like to really focus on that moving forward in our journey.
It's like that saying, why so serious? It's like
it is. Well, and I got to tell you, you know, it's interesting. I have seen some people actually in my family recently. They're going through the early awakening stages, but there's one of them that actually can get yanked back down really far into the muck of just politics and everything too, right? And I've noticed this slippage and this literal kind of change in personality, right? Kind of into that icky muck, because they don't really understand the idea of what we sit in front of all day long will actually influence our energetic state. And then before you know it, you're not the you that you were before. Does that make sense? So this is why they're very concerned about, and I don't want to say concerned, they very much want play. They want enjoyment. They want fun, us to add that back into the equation. They just called it an equation.
I love that.
That's interesting.
Sticking their heads in for a little chat. It's so good.
Yeah. Okay, they just said, go play like the child that you are. See, because, and that is also when we raise that vibration, similar to what we're talking about with the music and whatnot, we open ourselves up to more signs and messages, to synchronicity, to things that will help guide us, because that comes from a higher vibration space. Those don't come when we're down in the muck.
You're worried. You're stuck in stress and worry, which is low frequency. And it doesn't have to be like that. We all have a choice. We've all got free will. So we can all design our life the way we want it to be. If you want to raise your vibration, you can. But if you don't and you want to continue that, that's you've got that choice. but be reminded that there's another way. There's this beautiful way of being a kid again and being silly.
Yes.
We put so much pressure on ourselves, like,
Yes.
you know, like rocking up to a meeting late. Like, who cares if you're late? Doesn't matter. That's just a false belief. Like, you got there
Exactly.
safely, you know, you know, you played with your kids and you lost track of time. Like, awesome. Good work.
Yes.
You know, we just
Absolutely.
change those false beliefs on the planet, and, you know, just let people know it's okay if they did this or did that. Just don't worry about it anymore, you know?
Yes, definitely. And you know, really catching, you know, we all do this kind of up and down kind of thing, right? I always look at this like, okay, if you're going to show 3D, 5D, we do this thing, you know, we have days where we just do this thing, and we're sometimes in a lower vibration. The key is to catch yourself when you start not getting your synchronicity anymore. Also, when you start not, what I've noticed, when you don't get your numbers, which is kind of a common thing, like if you don't get a lot of other synchronicity, you'll get the numbers still. But what I have found is one of the ways to realize that, oh my gosh, I've sunk myself down into, you know, things that are lower vibration, whether it's old habits, whether it's the news, whatever it might be, right? Is to start realizing that you're not getting synchronicity anymore. You're not necessarily getting the signs you used to get, because to the point we're making is they don't always show up in the low vibration, right? They show up higher, and you'll get more and more as you raise your vibration.
And yeah, that flow state, or low flow. If are you having a good flowing day? Perfect, you're in that frequency. If everything goes wrong and you can't get a park and you're late, which doesn't matter anyway, but all the things, the feelings, just sit, okay, teach me, show me, guide me. What do I need to know about this? And just take a moment to feel the energy, because it just wants to show you something, right? At the end of the day, it's not trying to hurt you or stop you or whatever. It's just probably an emotion from your childhood or your teenage life or something that was, you know, hanging around that just wants to shift out of us.
Exactly. And I think the other thing that adds, right, I want to add to this is creating a balanced life, because we're talking about energy, like we're talking about energy that causes us to live in a, I'll just say, lower vibration. And right there, we were talking about habits and whatnot, but not living a balanced life like that. What I find is if I go back into this rushed way that I used to live when I worked in, you know, corporate, basically what happens if I try to go back into that now, or not even try, I just do it by accident, nothing works out. Like literally, I will feel, I'm much more aware that I'm in that old energy, because I'm not living the balanced life. I'm trying to rush around, get too much done in the way I used to always. But what will happen is then I won't get a parking place, as a very simple example, or things won't click into place like they used to, because what I brought old Pisces age energy in, right? Or that old energy before, or the 3D energy, whatever you want to call it, you know, that I used to live in. But now that I'm going through this journey, we can't, that it doesn't work anymore that way. You get started to get used to getting synchronicity and flowing through your day, but it takes balance in your life. You can't keep living the old way of rushing everything and squeezing everything in your to-do list and getting it done and having no space in your day.
No. The whole point is having the peace and relax, which everyone is chasing. So you've got
because then flow will happen. Then you'll open yourself up to the flow.
Yeah. And like when you went back into that old realm of the corporate, it's like your resonance, your vibration within your being doesn't resonate with that frequency anymore. So it doesn't feel good, because it's like,
and you know it,
and like, but you want to be free, you know, and that's in the higher states. Yes.
And you do, and it's interesting because you do notice it very fast. Before I was in oblivion and just living that way. And those were the energies I was in at the time that allowed us to work that way. But now that we've shifted and changed so much as a collective, and the energetics as a collective have changed, and we in particular going through the awakening, you can't go back to that and live in that old way. There's just no way.
No, it's an exciting time on the planet, isn't it? For seeing people,
oh my gosh,
like, you know, seeing people have an awakening and going, oh, they're so sweet, they're learning how to crawl, you know, like they're getting it, and it's so beautiful. No wonder why the archangels and all the Palladians want to help us, because it's like such
Right.
a beautiful blooming, it's like a flower blooming, it's like beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, and I think you've noticed this too. I mean, literally just since 2020, how many people, and of course, COVID had a lot to do with this acceleration of the awakening, but how many more people that you know yourself that are starting to have, popping awake, and
Yeah.
more people are coming to us that are moving fast in their awakening journey as well. You may have noticed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the elevated convos, like the
Yes.
conversations have switched, and friendship circles are switching. Just so
Yes.
everyone knows, like my old group of girls, there's not a problem. We're all still friends, but I don't hang out with them anymore because it's different different resonance. And that's just the soul's journey. But I chose me and my evolution, and that's okay. But just so you know, new friends do come in, like these good friendships, and you meet your soul family. It happens. It just is a bit messy there for a bit, and then everyone will come in.
Yes, and I think what is so unique about that part that you're talking about, you meeting your new tribe, is it's not that they're necessarily going to live in your hometown. Like, it happens worldwide. For example, two of my closest friends now that I know I'm soul family with, one's in, well, actually Pennsylvania now, the other's in or Colorado, and I've only met one of them. The other one I haven't met. But so soul family, I mean, we start connecting with people that aren't just in our hometown, right?
Yeah.
So,
the beauty of
that
the
are our soul
internet.
family.
Yeah. Well, it was so nice to connect with you today. Thank you so much.
I so enjoyed this.
Support and love that you gave Pete and I and Dan. Oh, we wouldn't be here without you, Carolyn.
I know, it's just fun that's right, because I forgot I think about you, and I'm like, that's right, because you came from Dan. So yeah, the whole family has just been so wonderful to work with. And it's like so neat to see you guys all kind of taking off in your own direction, and it's just lovely. So really neat.